Hi, everyone. Welcome back. We're on day 5 of our 5-day boot camp, The Art of Becoming Your Highest Self. So happy to be back here with you today for our recap day, our Q&As, and then we have a little offer for you at the end. So what I'm going to do today is I want to just do a quick recap on, the journey that we went on this week, right? So we started the week, and I want you to really think about, everything that we have talked about this week they can be considered, and they are success principles. Okay, so there are so many books out there. There's so much material out there that can help you with like the basic success principles of how to create what it is that you want in your life. These are the ones that I have learned from Bob, from Napoleon Hill, from Neville Goddard. Like those are my teachers, right? Those are the leaders that I have followed. And so what the journey that I took you on this week, we started with self-image, because again, this is all about you, right? This week has all been about you, your journey, your growth, and how to create the life that you want. And so the image is something that it's not like you just work on and then you're done, right? And so I wanted to start with it to give you a chance to really work on it every day. Okay. But where I'm going to start with the recap is proper goal setting. Okay. It is essential that you get connected with that burning desire. I can't tell you, I think the biggest mistake I have seen clients make, and I've done it myself as well, is to not go within, to not take that step and really tune in with your intuition, with your emotions, like really feel your way towards your goal. And that sounds a little strange, right? Like, what does that mean? Like, feel my way to my goal? Normally, like that is how most of us have been programmed, is like, what does that mean? And we're taught to set goals based off of what we think we're supposed to do, what we think other people might want for us. It could be our parents, it could be our partners, or our kids. So that is why, like, I really encourage you to go within, tap into that burning desire of what your heart, what your soul is telling you that you're here to create, and really open up and listen to it. And then from there, you set the goal. Okay. And goals should be, and I work, closely with my clients on this. Goals should be measurable, and it should be short, and it should fit on a little goal card. Mine is on the counter over there, but normally I have it right near me. So it should just be like a few sentences. And what I like to do, and this is just a suggestion, is I like to have my goal. I always have a financial part of my goal, and then I round it off with something tied to my purpose, right? Like it could be, so I'm so happy and grateful now that I'm earning more than X amount every month, helping my clients create a life of freedom. Something very short and pithy, something that you can, it's something that when any sort of fear, doubt, worry creeps in, you immediately go right back to your goal in your mind, in your thoughts, in even if you can't affirm it, if you're in a place where you can't affirm it out loud, you affirm it in your mind. I went through a period of time where I remember I would wake up at like 3 a.m., every day for a couple weeks. And the first thing that my mind would jump to would be, how am I going to pay the bills at the end of the month? Where's the money going to come from? How am I going to do this again? And I didn't know, I didn't have the tools at the time to know that I had the ability to replace it. I used other things. I'm going to give you some breathing, a breath work exercise that I love. But once I started to build the tools, and it happened over time, it wasn't, it's not just with the mindset, it happened with, understanding the health and wellness aspects of my life and how I can help other people. It was with the yoga training, was with the meditation training, and then eventually the mindset. So these are, these are skills that they don't develop overnight, right? Because with repetition, we have to introduce these new skill sets of ways of taking control back of our mind in order to accomplish what it is that we want. So number one, it starts with proper goal setting and getting connected to that burning desire. Number two is understanding your programming, right? Understanding that paradigm. And the paradigm, again, is a multitude of habits that makes up our habitual behavior, and almost all of our behavior is habitual. So the paradigm is, and it's tricky, right? It comes in when we least expect it. So we could be doing the work and like, oh, I'm getting good results, I'm getting good results. And then we think, I've got it, I've got this. And we start to coast, right? And then the paradigm comes right in and it takes over, and it can set you back, right? And so it's something that, it consistently, so like if you're trying to replace a behavior, and right, we don't work on the paradigm, we just replace it with a new behavior that is better serving. So I would say it probably 6 months before you can be sure that the behavior is changed. Okay, so that's really important, because again, this is all from experience of not doing that, that I know like how truly tricky it is. So the paradigm will come in, try to trick you when you're at your highest and when you're at your lowest. So that's why we never want to be too high, we never want to be too low. We want to always kind of be right in the middle, come from this neutral mindset, with everything, with ourselves, with everything. Okay. So number three, I touched on already, is self-image. So that we went really deep with self-image. Number four is overcoming fear and procrastination, right? Because it's this weird area that you live in where it's weird because most people don't live here, but you go out and you step outside of your comfort zone to say, I'm going to go there. And then, but you're making your decisions on a different level, and decision is the last one. So I'm going to tie these two together. But you make a decision to go somewhere, and then the fear, doubt, and worry creeps in, and so then you go right back into your comfort zone. So like you need the fear, right? Fear just gives us feedback as to how far we're stretching ourselves. However, you need also really the support, the guidance, the understanding to keep moving in the direction of your goal. Because the fear will come in, and like we've talked about, is thinking of this sick person. If we don't know to replace that feeling of fear with faith right away, it can go on for a long time, and then it comes out, right? Procrastination, eventually, disintegration, anxiety. And so, it's really important to have that tool to know to replace it with faith right away. And then decision. So, decision is such a simple, it's such a simple concept, because it's like, oh yeah, I make decisions. As I found most people think, well, yeah, I'm making a decision to join this call. I'm making a decision to, go have lunch. It's easy to make decisions. But when we say, I'm going here, this is where I want, this is what I want. I want you to think of it like this. Like it is, yes, it's a committed decision, but I want you to think of it from an energetic standpoint. Okay, so you make that decision with your internal energy that no matter what, I'm going to accomplish that. Like, and you've probably experienced this in other areas of your life at different times where, like if I have a wedding that I'm going to and I'm like, no, I want to buy this dress, if I want to buy, no matter what, I don't know how I'm going to afford it, but I'm going to buy this dress. Like it comes from a place of knowing and understanding, right? Like you don't know how it's going to happen, but you've already made that committed decision that you're going to buy that dress. Or, again, you can apply this to any area, but that energy, like think about a time when you've made a decision and you didn't know how you were going to do it. Could be investing in a coaching program. It could be investing, it could be going on a vacation. And you make that decision from a place of knowing that it's going to happen versus hoping and wishing and wondering. Okay. So that is the importance of decision, right? Think of it again. It's not just like, oh yeah, I'm going to do this. It's an energy that you pull up from within, that you go to every time any sort of fear, doubt, and worry creeps in. It's like, nope, I've already made that decision. I don't know how, but I've already made that decision, right? It takes one less thing, off your plate. So, that I wanted to recap that, and then we talked about higher mental faculties. So it's really the success principles, again, are goal setting, proper goal setting, understanding your paradigm, self-image, overcoming fear and procrastination, and decision. And then the other few that we touched on briefly were the higher mental faculties, right? So we make this decision, we go within, we use our higher faculties to create what it is that we want. And then we work on, we touched just briefly on belief, right? Like, what do you believe about yourself? And we could go really deep on belief. Like, we could probably do a whole training on just belief, but belief and faith, I went deeper on faith. But belief and faith are, so important. We've already talked about faith, but belief, you really have to believe not only in yourself and what you believe about yourself, but in your goal, right? It's belief. And the only way to build belief is through autosuggestion, right? The only way to build belief is through using autosuggestion. Autosuggestion has been a game changer for me. And it is, autosuggestion is a suggestion from yourself to yourself, if you're not familiar with it. All right. And autosuggestion, right? Suggestion is one of the most powerful forces that we have in this universe, right? We are all constantly being suggested to, right? I could suggest, to Keith, like, hey, let's have a call later today and talk about, Q4 planning or something. Or I could suggest, my friend just texted me today. I had dinner with her last night, and she was like, hey, we should do that weekly. Like, that's a suggestion, right? More often than not, we're just letting these suggestions in: social media, the news, anything that you read. And so when you use autosuggestion, you're giving a suggestion from yourself to yourself of what it is that you want to be believing, what it is you want to be working on, right? What it is that you want to be thinking, right? How do I see myself? And so the autosuggestion is very simple, right? It could be listening to the same thing over and over again. It could be, I love the best form of autosuggestion is doing it, the mirror work, and doing it in the mirror. I put my timer on, and you look yourself in the right eye, and you say your goal, and then the left eye and say your goal, and you just bounce back and forth because you can't be looking in both eyes at the same time, right? And so your eyes are the gateway to your soul. And so when you're doing that, and you want to get like really close to the mirror, it's uncomfortable at first if you haven't done this before. And so I love auto suggesting my goal, but you could do affirmations, right? You could do something that you're working on for you. And so that's the only way to build belief, is through auto suggestion. And there's a whole chapter of it in Think and Grow Rich if you want to go deeper with that. And then the very last thing, the last principle of success is mastermind, right? Is masterminding, and which is your environment. Choosing to put yourself in an environment that is conducive to your growth is the key to your destiny. Okay, it's one of the hardest things to have to maneuver. If you have people that are in your life who are don't follow this material, don't have this level of awareness, again, it doesn't make them bad and you're good or anything like that. It just means like you have to be so diligent over what you're allowing into your subconscious mind, right? Because again, we're always being suggested to. And I mean, my family, when I started this, thought I was crazy. They literally thought I was crazy and had multiple interventions with me. Like, sit down, what are you doing? Why did you leave your day job? You know, what is going on with your marriage? Like, I mean, it looked like on the outside, right? Which is so funny because this is why I did the work, was because on the outside everything looked good, but on the inside I was miserable. And then I start doing the work, and like, all on the outside it looks like your life is going poof to everybody else, and then you're suddenly incredibly fulfilled and happy and joyful, and you're loving life. And so that is not an easy thing to go through. And I promise you, I was on a call yesterday with a client who, she's going through it right now with multiple areas of her life, and it's not easy to do on your own, you guys. So I really encourage you to, get into a coaching program. Like, you don't have, we have to do this work on our own, but we don't have to do it alone, right? And that's where coaching and mentorship comes in. And if it's not that, maybe it's a mastermind. We're going to be starting an official mastermind group, I think maybe next month. But get into, like, find someone in this group or maybe other groups that you really resonate with, and mastermind on a weekly basis, right? I do it 3 times a week with my mastermind partners. And the thing about masterminding, okay, and maybe we can post the mastermind principles in the group. Maybe I'll post them underneath here in the after this replay is posted. But there are principles to masterminding, right? And masterminding is, you have to attract to you, and vice versa, like who you're meant to mastermind with, right? It's not something that you can really assign. You have to really resonate with that other person, the energy of that other person, right? And it's not like, I've done masterminds before when I first became a coaching consultant, and you can get into the groups and people just start complaining and this and that, and that is like, nope, nope, I don't want that. You have to be really, really careful. But a masterminding is, it's your environment, right? And your environment is your destiny. And I love, like, I love this, that your network equals your net worth, right? We are the average sum of the 5 people we spend the most time with, that we surround ourselves with. So really look around. Like, are you surrounded by people that are going where you're going? Are you surrounded by people that are setting high level goals? Are you surrounding yourself with people who have a strong self-image? And it doesn't mean we have to stop being friends with them or stop loving them. You just have to make an intentional decision to put yourself also in a different environment. And it's funny, like with family, Bob used to say, like, you just don't go as often and you don't stay as long when it comes to that. But that's, everyone's different, right? I'm really, really close with my family, and so we spend a lot of time together. But yeah, so you just have to figure out what's right for you, right? And you don't have to do it on your own, right? We are here. I'm here to help. We've got this group. Please let us know what you need. And we're here to help. And again, there'll be an offer at the end. But next, we wanted to get into some Q&A. We had some questions that came in. And so, Keith, did you want to
Yeah.
tee up the questions?
Yeah, so there are a couple of questions that came in, and I think, I'll ask some of these questions, but I think if you guys have questions as well, more than welcome to come on camera and ask the questions. So I'll go first. The first question is, how do you know if you have the right goal or not?
Yeah, I mean, the first thing that comes to mind is, when you feel it. It is a feeling that you get connected to. Like, it's an idea that creates the feeling that you get connected to. And so what I would encourage that is, don't over question it. Like, set your goal. And that's why I love, like I said before, I love doing goal setting where there's something, like measurable in it, but it also connects me back to my purpose. And because the purpose is why I do what I do. It's not about the number. It's not about the financial goal. it's about I want to feel that I'm helping other people and that I'm in service of other people to create this life of freedom. So I would say don't overthink it. Don't be mechanical about it. Again, get out of the head into the heart. Like that is the key, is just to feel your way into it. And if you need help, let me know. Like I think, and the number one question to ask is, do I know how to do this? Right? Do I know how to accomplish this? And if the answer is maybe if I like wrote out all the steps, everything happened just so, yes, then that's not the right goal. You want to go somewhere that you have no idea how in the world, like build this illogical idea of yourself, what it is that you want to create, right? And then you'll know it when you land on it. But I would encourage you just to like start, just set a goal, like do the work, and then you'll know, right? Start to move into action, and you might have to, like, the goal shouldn't change once you know you've landed on it, but it might change a little bit, as you're working your way, as you're doing the work and working your way through it. I hope that helps.
Yeah, it really does. I think I don't know if anybody has questions, but I had a question from my side as well.
Hmm.
Let me just look in the chats to see. Do you guys have questions? You can raise your hand as well, and I'll take your questions. But the question that I have is, you know, you speak about creating a mastermind and essentially finding the right people to mastermind with. And one of the things you mentioned is um, you've experienced certain masterminds before where people were complaining, and at that point you obviously decided to get out of those masterminds because of that complaining. So I just want to know, like, what kind of energy does complaining hold, essentially. And,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, I mean, it's it depends on the conversation and the complaint, but in the beginning, I don't leave, I didn't leave right away. I like tried to steer it in a different direction. Like, okay, how can we do this? How can we be more, positive thinking and forward moving? Um, and then if it still didn't feel right then. But I mean, complaining is like, I mean, it's just a heavy energy, right? It doesn't serve us. It doesn't it and actually I know one of the questions that came in was about attitude, and it's an attitude, right? It's the thought, the feeling, and the action. That, yeah, the seventh disease of attitude is complaining. And complaining, it doesn't help anything. um and so it's not proactive, so it doesn't accomplish anything.
Cool. Thank you for that. I'm gonna go to the next question if nobody has a question. Um, the next question is, how can I work with my self-image to become that person?
Yeah, so the self-image, right? You write out your self-image script, and then you use auto-suggestion. There's various forms of ways that you can work with your self-image through auto-suggestion. So you can record yourself. There's a great app called Voice Loop. No, I'm sorry, not Voice Loop. It's ThinkUp, 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 and it's a free app. There's a paid version, I think, too, if you want to add music. But it is a beautiful affirmation um, app that I use, where I have recorded my voice um, and reading my Power Life script. And my goal is in my life script because I'm so attached to my goal. So you don't have to have it in there, but you can. So I use that. Voice Loop is another one too. I don't think it has the music capability, and I love setting it to a better music. And so, and then it just loops, right? You have it recorded, and then I listen to mine like all day long. Sometimes I'll listen as I'm going to sleep at night. The first thing I do when I get out of the bed in the morning is I put it in. I've also added affirmations as a part of that recording, because I've done a lot of affirmation work in the last, year and a half, and I'm really connected to affirmations now. And we're going to talk about that a little bit in the workbook, but so that is the first thing, right? Is you have it, you have everything written out. And then you start to move into action, like with where you can, right? If you guys saw the recording of my client, Marika, who moved into action with her car, Keith is in the process of doing something similar right now with a car he has an eye on, where you just start to do today what you can do to become that person. Okay. And it starts with the physical actions that you can take, but it's also, why that's important is because it puts your thought pattern, your thought frequency on the level of your goal, right? On that higher level. So you just start to do today what you can do, and then your thoughts will automatically elevate. And so when you just be that person, you're not like, you're in any way that you can, like you're already operating as that person. Like, is this person, is my behavior right now, this is a good question to ask yourself, is my behavior in this moment coming from my highest self, coming from the highest version I have built of myself right now, right? Is this person thinking this limiting thought? Is this person, even as simple as, like, if you're going out to dinner, ordering what you're ordering, what I just ordered, is this like, how are you showing up? Are you showing up as the highest version of yourself? And so that's what that means, is you have to become that person, before you can achieve it, right? You actually have to do it, and then the results will follow. It's not the results first and then you're that person. You actually have to grow into that person. So I hope that helps.
Mm. And is that why you essentially have to listen to these affirmations and essentially auto suggest on a repeated basis?
Exactly.
Is that pretty much right? Okay.
Yeah, because you're reprogramming your mind. You're reprogramming. You're choosing what you're taking into your conscious mind, and through repetition, that is reprogramming your subconscious, and your
Mm,
subconscious controls almost all of your results. So by becoming that person first in your mind, you then attract to you much quicker everything required to achieve that goal.
mm. I actually want to add to that, because there's something that I've been working on myself, right? I've been working on exercising every day and meditating every day.
Yeah.
And what I found is that initially when I started working on that, I would do it two times a week, and then third, fourth day I'm off again. And that was kind of the yo-yo effect that I was experiencing, right? But what I did is I printed out two pieces of paper, where on the one piece I track my meditation, and on the other piece I track my daily exercise. And I literally, every time I meditate, every time I exercise, I go to the printed pieces of paper and just scribble out the day that I've done it, right? And I found that that's been so useful, because every time I walk inside my apartment, the two pieces of paper staring at me in my face.
Yep.
And interestingly enough, when on the, because you do have those low days, right? Where you kind of like, okay, not today. When that happens, immediately something just pulls me back. Like it just feels strange not doing the
Yep.
meditation, not doing the exercise. It's just all of a sudden feels strange. Whereas before,
How many days are you
yeah,
on?
yeah.
How many days are you on?
On exercises, I'm on day 90,
Okay.
and on meditation, I'm on day 38.
Yeah, see, there you go. So you've built, I mean, 90 days is great. Like that is great, and so because Keith had said that, like, he wants to be the kind of the person that he is at his highest self is someone who exercises every day. And so I love that because you've built that now, this new belief through repetition. And it's the same way that we learn everything, right? Repetition is the first law of learning. And, I talked earlier in the week about we didn't learn our name once, and then that was it. We didn't learn how to speak once. It was, we had to learn the words and learn the language. And if you've ever learned a new language, same thing, right? It's through that repetition. So that's awesome. Good share. Great share, Keith.
Cool. So there's three more questions, but I just want to see if there's anybody who has questions here. Do you guys have questions?
No.
Okay, cool. I'm just going to move on. The third question is, can you explain a little more why attitude is so important?
Yeah, I would highly encourage if anyone's, interested in this, because again, it can be it's so easy to understand, but it's so easy to misunderstand attitude as well. And so I would highly encourage you to listen to the magic word, every day for the rest of this year, right? Like that is where you're really going to be able to understand it. But attitude is the combination of your thoughts plus your feelings plus your actions. Okay. So it's the thoughts that we think, the feelings that we have and that we create around that, and then the actions that we take. So if you're, and again, everything is an attitude. Literally everything is an attitude. Um, and so when you just pause and think about that, that goes really deep, right? And the only two things we can control in life are the thoughts we think and our attitude. So when I saw that question come in, I did pull out, Jim Rohn has the 7 diseases of attitude that cost you your future. Okay, so I'm not going to read the whole thing, but I thought it would be important to touch on them because I think it might make a little more sense. So, so these are negative attitudes that are holding you back from success. Okay, and you need to learn how to handle these negative attitudes so you can stop them from holding you back. So the first one is an attitude of being indifferent, right? Indifference. So he says, and I'm to read a few sentences. He says, you can't drift through life. I mean, yeah, you can, but but not, not much is going to happen by drifting, right? Which is why we do the goal setting. And so this is a mild approach to life, and also is boring when we're drifting. People who drift through life wonder why things don't happen for them. The passive approach will never put you on top, right? Don't go halfway, do it all way. Don't be indifferent. So that's the first disease of attitude. The second is indecision. Napoleon Hill, I said it yesterday, I think indecision is the seedling of fear. So when we sit in this space of not being decisive, not making a decision, it is the seedling of fear. And so, but Jim Rohn says, this is the person who sits on the fence, never wanting to make a decision and never making any progress. He referred to it as the like mental paralysis. And it can be scary to pick a decision, but sometimes you just have to make a decision. And if it's not a good one, you'll figure that out, right? You'll fail forward. Failing forward is, one of those success principles as well. So that's number 2. Number 3 is the attitude of doubt. It's hard to be successful at something if you doubt your ability to do it. And we know that, right? We talked a lot about doubt, worry, fear this week. Number 4 is worry. Don't have to go much deeper with that. We all know what worry feels like. And so if you're walking around worrying, being worried about how am I going to pay the bill at the end of this month, and it doesn't mean that that's not a real thing you have to deal with, but what is your attitude towards it? Right? Like that's what we can control. Right? I use the example of my son. I was so worried for him. Well, what is that going to do for him? Right? I can send a lot, I shifted that once I realized it. And Instead, you can send love, right? Send love and gratitude, and you still deal with the reality of what you have to deal with. But worry does not serve us. Doubt does not serve us. Indecision does not serve us, and nor does indifference. Number 5 is overcaution. Okay. It's good to be cautious, but don't be overcautious. This is the timid approach to life that will hold you back. Don't be afraid to take some risks. I love in the U Squared book by Price Pritchett that I study from time to time. That's one of the chapters is about you've got to go for it. You're telling the universe you want something. You just have to take that leap. And I promise you the net will appear. It is scary as hell sometimes, definitely, which is why the environment is so important. But I promise you the net will always appear. So don't be overcautious. And then number 6 is pessimism, not surprising. But do you see the glass half full or half empty? And so how are you looking? What is your outlook on life? How do you view your day to day? And we all know those people, right? I don't think this is probably a group that has a lot of that, but you might have it in your life, right? And so you might have other people in your life. And so you want to, that's goes back to your environment. And then number 7 is complaining, but I touched on that earlier. So again, they're indifference, indecision, doubt, worry, being overcautious, pessimism, and complaining, right? And so these are the 7 diseases of attitude that could potentially be holding you back. And I think they sound obvious, but if you really stop to think about them, and we'll post those in the group too, if you really stop to think of them, like start to think and evaluate like every area of your life as you go about your day. Like, what is my attitude toward that? And I've caught myself, like it happens. But it's really powerful when you understand it.
That's so powerful, Haley. I definitely think we should post that in the group.
Yeah, I have that and the
oh,
mastermind principles written down.
yeah, awesome. The next question is, how do I overcome fear?
Yeah, the only way through is through, guys. The only way to overcome fear is you just got to jump right. You have to you have to move through it. And again, like you don't have to, you have to take action to move yourself through it. Well, number 1, right? Put yourself in a supportive environment that will help you through it. And then this should have been the first thing, but immediately when the fear creeps in, the fear, doubt, worry, you want to replace it with faith from a mindset and energy standpoint, right? So that fear will creep in, and it happens, when we don't even, it happens in a mindset way where we don't even know it. Like we don't even realize that it has crept in. But once you realize it, and so the key with this is to get out ahead of it. Like if you know what your triggers are, that's going to cause that feeling of fear. Like you get out ahead of it. Like this is about us mastering ourselves. Okay, this is not that is what all of this work is about. Learning how to master self-mastery. Another great book that I was reading from this morning is The Master Keys to Riches, which is a phenomenal read by Napoleon Hill. And it's like another kind of like Bible-y type, that I always go to. But that's what it's about. It's about mastering yourself. Okay, and so understanding you so that you can operate at your highest self more often than not. But yeah, the only way through the fear is you have to take that leap. You have to make that decision. I'll tell you a quick story. I remember, so last year, a lot of I put my house on the market and decided I wanted to live in a new apartment. I wanted to rent. I didn't want to own anymore. And it was a stretch. Like I wanted more space for myself and my kids. Like the house, it was a condo. There was a house, but we had the middle floor. It was small. It was old. It's beautiful. Built in the 1901, I think. I loved it, but I'd been there for a really long time, and it was tight, and I just wanted more space so my kids could, we weren't on top of each other, and so I had in my mind. This is a good story. I had in my mind, I knew I wanted to live in this building because it's still in our neighborhood. and I wanted to be between their schools. And I had a friend several years ago who lived in this building, and I had seen the apartment really quick, and I was like, yes, high ceilings, everything is light, and there's lots of, everything's white and light, and there's an elevator that opens up right into my apartment. And so I didn't know how I was going to do it, but I knew that that's where I wanted to live. So that I had that goal, like I set that image a year before. And then fast forward a year later, last summer, the housing market was really good here. And I was like, okay, I'm going to put my place on the market. And it took a lot of work to get my place ready. I mean, like a lot of physical work, right? To get the condo ready. And at the same time, so I started getting it ready. I got it listed in August on the market, and I had to figure out, I didn't know who the rental agency, who the landlord was of the building that I'm in. And so I had to do some research to find the name of the management company. So I got the management company, and actually had to call my daughter's old daycare, who's also in the building, and they gave me the contact info. Anyway, they called me back right away, and I said, hey, I'm interested in renting a unit from you. And they said, oh, we have one that just became available. It's going to be available September 1st. And I was like, of course you did. And so came and saw it, checked it out, fell in love with it. But what happened was, so I got approved for the lease and everything of the apartment. And then, but what happened was my place wasn't selling, right? My place was on the market. It wasn't selling. And I was like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? Because I've signed the lease of this other place, and now I have my mortgage and my rent. Like, that was a really scary place to live. And I lived there from pretty much end of August through November. So what happened was, didn't sell. I was like, what am I going to do? Do I move in? Do I not move in? And so this is what I did. And I did this though, like I had the support of my coach, right? To help me through this. This is why coaching is so important. And my mastermind group at the time. But, they were like, I was going back and forth. What do I do? And my coach said, like, you haven't made the decision. Like, I hadn't made the committed decision, right? It's what I wanted, but it wasn't a committed decision. I wasn't saying I'm doing this no matter what. It's what I wanted, and so what ended up happening is now I'm renting my condo, and that's like another story. Like, I had a deadline that I was going to rent it by like November 15th for December 1st. And I remember affirming out loud. I was in meditation one morning, and I affirmed out loud, I will have my condo rented by November 15th. And on on the evening of November 14th, I got an email that someone was interested in renting it. And so it all worked out, but it took me making that energetic, committed decision that no matter what, so I moved in. We didn't have furniture for a while because we had to stage the other place. We were on air mattresses. Like, it was one of the best experiences I went through, because it was such a visceral experience of what it was like to, like, it wasn't a committed decision. And then to live, what felt like fear for longer than I was aware of it. So anyway, I hope that helps, because, I think stories always help, but I just wanted to share that. And so now we're in our apartment. We love it. We have so much space and so much light. So.
Thank you for sharing that story, Haley. I think that the next question kind of attaches to that, right? The next question says, how do I take action when I don't have the resources, in brackets, money, to move in the direction of my goal?
Yeah. So, you guys know that I love Thomas Troward. And I think I've been studying the spirit of opulence. I did a live with Melanie, my mastermind partner, this week on it. But he talks about, so that's a part of spirit of opulence. And I have it right here. So he says, like, if you say to yourself, like, I am short of money, I hardly know how to pay for necessities. What do I have to give? right? So if the money isn't in the bank account, let's just say it's, that's the question. Like I want to invest in something or I want to do something, but I don't have the finances. So the answer is that we must always start from the point where we are. And if your wealth at the present moment is not abundant on the material plane, you need not trouble to start on that plane. Okay. There are other sorts of wealth still more valuable on the spiritual and intellectual planes, which you can give, and you can start from this point and practice the spirit of opulence, even though your balance at the bank may be nil. And then the universal law of attraction will begin to assert itself. So if it has not manifested on the material or the physical plane, right, we have the ability to go to source, to go to spirit, and to create from within before, and then that is what will activate, like, because we're putting ourselves on that vibration intentionally, and then that's what activates the law of attraction. So yeah, so it's and it also goes back to like the just getting really simple with the action steps. In the workbook, we talked, I think yesterday or the day before, about the 5 goal achieving action steps that you can take. And so it's important to set those, and I gave you the sheet so you can even just make copies of it, and use that as like a planner or something. But it's important to really do that, right? You have to apply this material. It's not enough just to learn about it. Like, you have to really now put it to use and apply it. And so just by breaking it down, right? Here's your goal. What are 6 things I need to do that'll help me get to it? Right? And it's not about doing the one big thing. It's about doing a lot of the little things over time, right? The little things compounded over time are what will produce the big results. So I think if that helps. I think there were no other questions, right, Keith, that came in?
Yeah, those are the 5 questions. Not sure if anybody has questions, but I think those essentially were all the questions that came in. So yeah.
Okay. So what I wanted to end with, guys, is just a couple things. So in the workbook, we've talked through a lot of, like, every day, but I wanted just to call out in the back, are a couple of areas on gratitude, affirmations, and breath work. So gratitude is, and I just, I give an overview of what and why it's important. And so the fastest and easiest way to shift your mindset is to express gratitude. So if you're, if you have an off moment, an off like day, or like you want to, like, in order to shift your energy, go right to gratitude. Okay. And this talks you through why it's important. Wallace Wattles said, the grateful mind is constantly fixed on the best. Right. So what are you grateful for, in this moment? Because I believe we all have stuff we are grateful for. Then the affirmations, I broke down over a couple pages of how to make affirmations work for you. In the beginning, when I was doing this, I wasn't really connected with affirmations. I was like, oh, I'm just going to say something and then it's going to manifest. Like, I didn't really have a visceral connection with it. And what really did it for me, to be honest, was I read one of Paul Selig's books. It's called I Am Word. And it's a channeled text. So he's a channeler. But it's Paul Selig, Selig. I would definitely follow him. He's fascinating. But he has the book I Am Word, and it's like, that really helped me understand and go deeper with why and how, what affirmations can do for you, and why they're so important. So I now believe and know, without a question of a doubt, anything that I say after I am is true and will manifest, and or I've already achieved that. I am powerful. I am strong. I am humble. I am, whatever comes after that for you, is is everything. And so, but it's not enough just to say it, like you have to know it and feel it. So I wanted to give you some work on affirmations to help you get more connected with them, to build up that belief. And then, yeah, the breath work I love. Like I talked about, I went through that period of time where I would wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning, 2:30 sometimes. And at the time I was going through my yoga teacher training, or actually I think it was health and wellness, school, my nutrition school. But this is the 4-7-8, relaxing breath method is very common. A lot of people know it. It was Dr. Andrew Weil, an integrative doctor. You can find him on YouTube, Weill. He teaches this on YouTube, and it has worked magic for me. So I would wake up, I'd have some anxiety and stress, and I would immediately start doing this 4-7-8 breath in my bed still, and it really helped calm the nervous system. And so there's a lot of other things you can do too. Like I love, if it's anxiety or whatever, like I love just putting my, check, like you check the pulse on your wrist, and just to like hear your heartbeat, and just to know like how powerful you are, it brings a sense of calmness. So I wanted to include that because again, it's made a big impact in staying connected to my, higher self. And so that's in the workbook, and you guys have this. So this will all be, the replays will be up until midnight on Monday, this coming Monday, May 23rd. So print off the workbook. You have this as a tool. And what I wanted to end with is a special offer. Okay, so obviously, you guys know that I'm a coach, and this is what I do. I love helping people create their own life of freedom. And so we have an offer going on right now through Monday at midnight, where we're opening up 10 spots into our Thinking into Results coaching program. So, and I've mentioned it before, like that is my first program that I went through that completely started to really put me on a new path. And so I'm so connected to it. I love it so much. So we're opening up 10 spots. As we go through this rebrand of Haley's Health, we're just being really mindful to make sure that we have the resources to put behind supporting our clients. So that's why there's only 10 spots that are open. The first 2 people will receive extra one-on-one coaching with me throughout the month. We would do like a bi-weekly one-on-one coaching session. And then the first 5 will receive a half-day private workshop that I'm going to be doing, focused on goal setting and really creating a plan for your business and or your goal. And so that is the offer. I'd be honored to work with you. But what I want to encourage you to do is don't worry about the how, right? Like our last client, that we just enrolled in TIR, we did a discovery call. I want to, it might not be the right fit. Coaching is not the right fit for everyone. And what our offerings are right now is I do one-on-one coaching, which is a very limited number. I only take on 5 people every 6 months. And then we have the group coaching with Thinking into Results. And then I'm launching next week this Study with Me program that I mentioned the other day. And that's just like another level, to come in on, surround yourself with like-minded people on a weekly basis. So what I want to encourage you to do, and again, we'll drop my calendar link into the comments of this as well. Just don't let the start stop you, right? Schedule a discovery call with me. It'll take us, 20-30 minutes to see if there's anything more that I can do to help you. If coaching is a right fit, we can talk about that, but there's no pressure. Like I love doing these discovery calls because I love learning more about you and where you're at and, what you're looking to achieve and how I could potentially, help you close that gap from where you are to where you want to go. Because I promise, like coaching and mentorship is the fastest way. If you want to accelerate the process, like when I did it, I was just so sick and tired of being sick and tired. I just felt like I was on the hamster wheel, and I just got to a point where I'm like, enough is enough. I don't know how I'm gonna do this, but I'm gonna do it. And I made the decision, and I moved into action to invest in, my first coaching program, and it opened everything up. So don't, I just encourage you, like have the self-image of someone that is going to do everything they can to move themselves forward in the direction of their dreams. So That's what I encourage you. It has been so much fun. We'll be back, over the next couple days with some bonus content here and there. We'll be going live in the Facebook group as well. So tune in, always check back. This replay will also be under the guide section. And you know where to find us if you have any questions. Otherwise, anything else you want to wrap up with, Keith?
Yeah, I think you've covered quite a lot today. And I think, just from my perspective, I also joined TIR as somebody who's learning as a student. And, I think I mentioned yesterday that it's something that I've always wanted to do. Coaching is something I wanted to do for the very longest time. And, to be able to have this opportunity and study with Haley is just blown my mind, has changed my life in so many different ways. So I would definitely recommend doing this. I'm currently doing 2 programs. One of them is literally about building my own personal business, and the other one is TIR. And it's so miraculous that a couple of months, about 6 to 8 months ago, I never even imagined that I would be here. So I just want to reiterate the quality and the value of making that decision, that committed decision, and really feeling it in your spirit, right? It's not just kind of making it haphazardly, really feeling it in your spirit and knowing, have that inner knowledge that it'll happen no matter what. I think that's really what I want to end with.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. Thank you. I'm grateful for you. Grateful for you being here and everything that you're doing to contribute as well. So thank you guys. It's been such a great week. I've had so much fun with you, and keep the questions coming. Schedule your discovery call, and I look forward to speaking with you then. All right. Bye-bye.